all of the knowledge, skills, and abilities for you guys. Welcome to my Facebook family. Was getting acquainted with my folks here over on on IG while I cleaned up my mess. Some soda I shouldn't have been drinking. I guess that was the Lord saying, nope, not today. Especially since I worked out early, I shouldn't have been drinking it anyway. But how are you guys doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. First of all, before we get into it, again, I'm going to introduce myself because I just logged in here for Facebook and YouTube. Okay. If you didn't know and you're catching me on YouTube or not, I have a YouTube channel with all my videos archived from the very beginning of time when I started sharing information, trying to be in a place of inspiration, motivation for you guys to be your best self. So feel free, like, subscribe, share, and follow me, put on the little bell thing so you know when I come on. I usually come on Tuesdays and Thursdays since this new year. So we're going to be talking about cutting your own red tape. So before we get started, I know that depending on what time zone you're in, and it's 5:34 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, you are as late as, if you're still in the US, as late as 8:34. And so I want to first just take a second to have you guys just take some deep breaths because you have been dealing with a lot today. Even if you had a great day, it was a lot of energy. And one thing that I also want to do when I do my lives is help you guys be able to really receive everything that I'm sharing, being able to really digest in the midst of everything else that you've, gone through for the day, everything that you have experienced, every which way your mind may be as it pertains to this moment. So take a moment before we start and just take a deep breath. Hold that for like 4 counts and then release. Take another deep breath. We're starting this out with you just being able to be present in this moment. So take another deep breath before we get started. We're going to be talking about cutting your own red tape. And this is a part of our Black Women in Leadership series that I decided to start after having a lot of work with my clients that I work with privately. And I just wanted to be able to share some golden nuggets and also be there for everybody that is also leading on purpose, right? So I'm hoping that you took a couple deep breaths. You got yourself a good pen that doesn't skip. You got yourself your notebook, and hopefully you have your journal or something nearby where you can write these little tidbits. Because again, on Tuesdays, it's more informational, educational, and I go quickly because I got to pick up my kid. Okay. Got to get them from the daycare. And it's really to help you jumpstart your journey to exploring what it is that you want to work on for the week. And all that good stuff. Okay. So coming to this place of grounded, you're grounded. You're in this. Hey, Corinne, how you doing, girl? So I want to share with you guys a quick story that actually prompted me wanting to talk about cutting your own red tape. So very quickly, I have been dealing with a lot of stress, anxiety, depression, imposter syndrome, big time. And this is even after having obtained my doctorate, right? So regardless of all these knowledge, these skills, these abilities, regardless of that, I was still in this place where I was doubting where I should be in life. So much so that I found myself in this cycle of being, and this is specifically in the workplace, and I'll give you 2 sides of how red tape got in my way. Professionally, I was in this stuck point where I just did everything that they asked me to do. And when they gave me, a couple of notes of praise, oh, you did a good job, then I felt so accomplished. And of course, that means if they didn't, I felt like, what am I doing here? It was really like other people dictated what I should have had more in control internally as my self-esteem, my self-efficacy. Fast forward to being at home, dealing with an abusive relationship, and still in that place of, if I got kudos, we good. If we didn't, what's wrong with me? What do I need to do more of? And it's like, I'm up here popping out a kid. I'm doing all the things, and it was still never enough, right? So regardless of that, what ended up happening is me getting out completely, out of the abuse of the relationship and getting out of the toxic work environment around the same time. And I did it without necessarily a full-blown plan of what was going to be the next step. Okay. But I cut that red tape. That's what I did. I cut it. And I cut it without all the answers, and at a place where I was making definitely six figures easily, definitely in that C-suite, so to speak, even consulting directors of hospitals, not getting paid for it, of course, but the kudos were nice, right? Didn't have my self-worth in the place that it should have been. So here it is, I make this drastic change. And I know that for some of you, when you hear that, you're just like, I couldn't just jump out and leave everything that I know. I would have to have a plan. I would need to make sure that I'm doing this or doing that, and that I see this clearly and I have this or the other. And it's like, no, you didn't necessarily need to. Okay. So when I'm talking about cutting your own red tape, I'm talking about two things. I am talking about your targets, and I'm talking about your commitments. What is it that you are committed to doing to meet your targets? And so even though in general, when we think of the definition, I wrote some things down. And again, I'm going to be quick with it because I really want you guys to be able to grab this and use it as a jump start to your journaling, your time that you're marinating in this. Okay. So commitment, an engagement, an obligation that restricts freedom of action, a state of quality of being dedicated to a cause or an activity. And I like to look at commitment from the first one because of how drastic we need to think outside of the box in order to get the end result. Not being comfortable, not being in this place where we think that if we do the same thing, that that's going to be sufficient. Okay. We already hear the sayings, but that doesn't, look up the G.I. Joe fallacy theory. Just because you know better does not mean that you do better. Okay. So I'd like to stick to, when we're talking about commitment here this evening, is an obligation to restrict the freedom of action. And even though we hear that and may think, well, restrictive, like a commitment, it should be something that we want to do. No, it's how are you going to stop doing the things that keep you from reaching your target? That's why I like that particular definition. A commitment. You purposely restricting something, someone, a situation, an environmental influence to then allow you the ability to meet your target. So what are we talking about when we say a target? Okay, a target, a mark, right? And an object to shoot at or attack, any point, any area, or object of attack or takeover. And of course, again, I like to go through the extreme because it takes extreme movement in order to have massive actions to get to targets that are worth having as a target in the first place, right? So for target, we're going to be talking about the major takeover. What is it that's going to be a point of taking over in your life? And the bottom line up front, what's the bluff? I'm going to give you that now. I'm going to skip some of these details and I'm going to give you the bottom line up front. And these are the things you're going to list. One, know who you are and whose you are. Know who you are and whose you are. That's number one. The bottom line up front for what we're going to be talking about tonight, very briefly, I'm probably going to give you guys maybe 10 more minutes. Number two, direct your attention to your creator. I'm going to tell you why in a little bit. Direct your attention to your creator. Direct your attention to God. Okay? Number three, don't lose your grip. Stay focused on your big why. Don't lose your grip. Stay focused on your big why. Again, I'm going to go a little bit more into detail, but I'm giving you the bluff. Bottom line up front. Number four, create your end result. Your end result. So create what happens at the point of target being met by conducting a pre-mortem analysis. Okay, we're going to talk about that in a second. Those are the bottom lines up front. Know who and whose you are. Direct your attention to your creator, God, the creator of the universe. If you want to use the universe, I'm talking about the creator. Okay. Create your end result. Now, let's go back a second. I want you to do something. And this is how you're going to be able to cut out your own red tape that you have imposed on yourself. You are going to pledge to do something in the future for the purpose of your future, as opposed to I am going to do something because of something I didn't do before. So, for example, a lot of people have been doing and creating New Year's resolutions, right? And they've been basing that off of, I don't work out. I need to eat better. I haven't done this. It's like, let's come from a different angle. And there's a reason for this. Okay. So when I think of commitment and I look at my point of references, I go to the Bible. I go to a lot of my academic resources. A book that I want to share with you guys besides the Bible for you to be reading is The Power of Flexing by Susan Ashford. The Power of Flexing, Susan Ashford. Okay. Do you know that 164 times, give or take, that the word commitment is mentioned or spoken about, referenced in the Bible? Just something you may want to consider. Why? Okay. So do some digging there. Again, today is the day that we talk about all things that's going to cause you to do your own digging. Okay. So pledge to do something in the future. The stronger the commitment, the more likely you are to succeed as you refuse to give up. Increase your discipline. Increase your productive decision-making. And be more willing to go out of your comfort zone. We know that when it comes down to change and growth, that you have to be okay with discomfort. You have to be okay with things that aren't known and planned out for you, right? So that's where it comes in, not just with going to your creator, but let me just tell you this. There's some scriptures that I want to share, again, for you to dig through and marinate on in your own time. But for the first point of knowing who and whose you are, I want to direct you to 1 Peter 2:9, right? 1 Peter 2:9. And this is, I'm not sure which version I scribbled down. I was just sort of going through different reference books. But 1 Peter 2:9 talks about, but you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for his own possession, that you may proclaim the excellence of whom, and I'm reading this really quickly, the scripture, excellence of him who called you out of the darkness and into his marvelous light. If you don't know who you are, you will miss the opportunity to walk out literally and figuratively, okay? Literally and figuratively, like royalty. And Corinne, you say how many times? How many times what? Tell me, how many times what? I know the question was how many times, because I'm like moving quickly. But 1 Peter 2:9, know who you are, because then you won't then allow anyone to tell you anything different. Commitment is mentioned 164 times. 164. Commitment. Thank you for the question. Okay. The second bottom line, direct your attention to God, your creator. So Proverbs 16:3. And again, I'm going through this really quick. Can't have the kid thinking he done been abandoned by his mama. Proverbs 16:3. Let me go through here. There we go. Commit your work to the Lord, and your plans will be established. Commit your work to the Lord, and your plans will be established. If you are having trouble with your commitment, you got to wonder, who are you committed to? Who are you committing your plans to? Who are you creating and having these ideas for? And who is fueling its extraordinary results? Because you can have them. You can have everything land exactly where it's supposed to be as long as you're in alignment. So that's why you need to go to God. Another verse that supports that is Psalms 37:5. Do I have it right here? Psalms 37:5. Commit your way into the Lord. Trust in him and he will act. Interesting. If I know that if I commit to the creator of our universe, and he will act on the things that we are committed to doing and manifesting here on earth, it sort of sounds like a sure fit that imposter syndrome going to have to take a back seat. That's another red tape that you can just eliminate. And this is how you're going to do it, right? Let's see. The fourth thing that I had mentioned to you guys as far as the bottom line was to create your end result. If you go to 2 Timothy 4:7, I have, and this is again to creating your end result. What do you want it to be? Yes, you may be setting targets. Yes, you may be writing out goals, smart planning, and all of that good stuff. But are you committed to what you want as your end result? And 2 Timothy 4:7 says, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. What do you want to say to yourself? What do you want to say to yourself? What do you want to say when God has blessed you with so many things? And it's like, yeah, what did you get with what he gave you? What's the return on the investment that he made in you? Just a question, something for you to think about. I want you guys to look toward the future. And if you feel that the red tape that you've imposed on yourself because you haven't been in a place of going to God, going to your creator, and knowing who you are, knowing that you're royalty, knowing that you come with limitless resources, then you want to say, and I want you to get the negative thoughts out there that may be like, okay, well, I started on this road and I got to see it through. I started this project this way and I don't want to have to start over. Something that someone that I definitely subscribe to, Pastor Sarah Jakes Roberts, said that we need to understand that starting over doesn't mean that we are starting from scratch. So if you got started in a place of being bound by all this red tape, your limiting beliefs in yourself, the imposter syndrome that we were talking about last week, the inner critic that keep going on and on and on in your head, limiting you, making you feel that your emotions are more of reality than the facts. Don't get stuck, okay? Know that God doesn't have an issue with you starting over, okay? And sometimes it's okay for you to do that, even if it's, I started these New Year's resolutions and I already messed up. I already missed, here we are at the end of the month. I already missed this whole month and I didn't work out not once. I've been eating out this whole time. It's okay. Do what you have to do. You haven't grabbed a book yet for personal or professional development. You haven't done any of that yet. Okay, then start now. You can start now. You can change that. Don't be your own red tape. Okay? And just so you know, time and money are of the past. So if some of you are out there looking for goals that are more monetary, what are you going to do to push forward toward a target that has to do with the future versus talking about what you already made? That's fine. What are you going to make now? What are you going to do with it? And why should you be entrusted, as far as purpose speaking, to get any more than that? Okay. Be a good steward. Okay. And as Sarah Jakes Roberts says, and the Bible tells us all the time, be aware of what multiplies. Yes. Be fruitful and multiply. Applies in so many ways. So if you are in this negative thinking pattern and rabbit holing frame of mind, and everything is negative and everything is restrictive and not quite up to par, the good, bad, and the toxic multiplies as well. Put your focus and your energy in alignment so that your commitment can match the target. And just know that if you have targets that you've been trying to reach in any regard, financially, professionally, relationships, otherwise, if the target isn't worth enough commitment, it's not going to work. And vice versa. You need to have your commitment high enough in order for your target to actually play out and come to fruition. Okay. One last thing. Then I'm going to jump off here real quick, y'all. So I'm going to say bye now. Have a good one. Good night. Sweet dreams. Revelations 22:11. When you are getting distracted by what someone else is saying, negative influences and all of that, this is just an extra tidbit. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about what other people say, but take it as something that's going to help make you even better. Because Revelations 22:11 say, basically, I'm going to, just rephrase it. And it basically said, do what you do. Do what you do and let other folks do what they do. Okay. This verse says, he that is just, let him be just still. Read the scripture, read the books, do the digging, do the research, understand how you are being your own red tape, and don't allow that to happen anymore. We have superpowers. We have ways in which God wants us to stand up and to live on purpose. And so it is up to you. So I'm going to see y'all on Thursday. I got y'all plenty to dig into. So go ahead and think about how your targets and your commitment is in alignment. And if they're not, there is a reason why your targets aren't being met. It's maybe not worth the commitment. Consider that. All right. Y'all take care. I'm going to get my little guy from daycare. Y'all have a good one. See you on Thursday. Same time, 5:30. Okay, bye.